Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Justin.
And this week we're discussing the super happy episode, Afterlife, in which nothing depressing happens at all.
Except all the things.
Except, yeah.
We're so glad you're back, Buffy.
It's so glad that you pulled
Aren't
me
you
out of hell.
happy? Won't you thank us?
Yeah. Anyway, so in this episode, the Scooby Gang rushes to find Buffy and figures she's at her house. The bikers are now on the run now that Razor has been destroyed. At the house, Buffy is confused and acting strangely as she surveys the changed scenery of her house and is told by Dawn that Giles has left. Spike arrives, angry and looking for Dawn. Though when he realizes the real Buffy is back, he softens and helps clean up her wounded hands. They talk about how long she's been gone. Spike has counted the days, 147 of them. When the Scooby Gang arrives and focuses on the Slayer, Spike slips out. Unable to stand all of the concern, Buffy goes upstairs while Xander and Anya leave for food. Outside, the two find hurt Spike, who's furious that he hasn't been told about the plan to resurrect Buffy, despite having helped the gang all summer. He realizes that his love of Buffy would have made him an obstacle if Buffy had returned to something that would have had to have been destroyed. He warns Xander of the consequences they'll have to face, because they always exist with magic. I'm sure that won't be important later on. After notifying Giles of Buffy's return, Willow and Tara go to bed and talk about the spell and changes in Buffy. In her room, Buffy looks at the pictures surrounding her, and then they briefly turn to pictures of skulls. During the night, Willow and Tara are visited in their room by a Buffy who yells at them and hints at Willow killing the deer in Bargaining Part 1. When the girls get up to investigate, Buffy's asleep in her room and neither knows the source of the incident. A moving lump appears in the ceiling, motivating Willow to call Xander. In the background, while Xander talks, Anya enters the room with a knife and smoky eyes, slitting her cheek before collapsing as the lump travels across the floor. The gang gather the next day for brainstorming, but no one is sure what this thing is, and Buffy is very closed off. At the magic box, Buffy seems out of place and leaves to patrol alone. With Buffy gone, the demon has taken over Dawn, who shouts at her friends and breathes fire before collapsing. You'll probably have some dry mouth. Mm-hmm. Buffy finds Spike at his crypt and the two talk. Rather awkwardly at first, Spike opens up to her, expressing his guilt for not saving her or Dawn. He explains that every night afterwards, he thought of better ways to rescue her and wishes so much that he'd been able to do that for real. Led on by Spike's hinting that Willow knew her spell might do something bad, Xander questions whether the witches knew the dangers, but is quickly quieted. Willow reveals that this creature was created by the spell that brought Buffy back. The demon does not currently possess a body, which is why it is possessing members of the gang. A reversal of the spell will cancel out the creation of the demon, but it can't be done without also reversing Buffy's resurrection. After Dawn panics about the idea of losing Buffy again, Willow discovers that the demon can only survive if Buffy is killed. The demon, which has been housed in Xander's body while Willow shared this information, thanks Willow for the tip and heads for the Slayer. Buffy is attacked by the formless demon, which she cannot hurt, but which she can be hurt by. Willow and Tara cast a spell to make the demon corporeal. Buffy kills the demon with an axe. Normality is somewhat resumed as Dawn heads to school the next day and Buffy sees her off. Buffy visits her friends at the shop and tells them that she was in hell and she appreciates that they brought her back. Buffy goes outside behind the shop to be alone, where she finds Spike hiding in a patch of shade. He tries to talk to her and offers to help in any way he can. She admits to him that although she wasn't initially sure where she was, she knows she wasn't in hell. She was in heaven and was happy, and her friends pulled her out. Spike is shocked as she tells him that this reality is her hell, having to live again in a real life, feeling the loss of heaven where she felt safe, loved, and complete. And she stresses that her friends can never know the truth. Like I said, super happy times!
I assume they'll eventually find out the truth, but I don't know.
Well, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you can't just leave that off hidden from the rest of the gang.
Yeah, and it's not like the season's going to get more depressing or anything.
It's like Buffy's gonna have a bit of a grudge towards them.
Well, other things will be happening. Anyway.
Yeah.
This episode originally aired October 9th, 2001, attracting 5.6 million viewers, which is quite a bit down from the previous episode, but that was kind of the premiere on a new network, so that's kind of to be expected. So, what did you guys think of this episode?
Depressing.
Dave, I'm so sorry, but what's going to happen later in this season if this was depressing?
Dawn breathed fire.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Anya slit her cheeks.
Yep.
And, actually, the scene where Anya cuts her cheeks had to be cut out of the UK broadcast.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, nope, that's too far.
That's too far?
Apparently. I don't, like, that's the weirdest thing to cut out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, like...
I mean, I guess there's different laws in other countries.
Yeah, but, like,
sorts.
I didn't see any notes about this last season, but the scene where, like, Dawn, like, slits her wrists, they never mentioned that having to be cut.
Okay.
And that's, like, far more graphic.
Yeah, and that needed to be there.
Yeah. And, I mean, like, this kind of does, too, because they reference it later.
Alrighty.
So, it's kind of weird, but...
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's. So first off, music in this episode is the original score by Thomas Wanker, and international titles. International titles. I love these. So in French, Resurrection.
Yeah.
In Portuguese, Life After Death.
Yeah.
And in German, oh, the Germans are here to save us. Greetings from Hell.
Ouch.
Sure.
Ouch to all the things.
Maybe greetings to hell.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, so did either of you have anything else you wanted to talk about with this episode?
Anya's getting a little testy.
Yeah, that whole,
Marriage proposal thing.
yeah, I wonder if that'll ever come up and be, you know...
Something tells me things aren't going to happen
Well,
with that.
you'll see.
Xander needs to do a bit of growing up, supposedly.
Oh, things... Okay, let me just put it this way. Things are going to get worse before they get better.
Well, yeah. I don't expect them to get better right now.
Yeah, don't expect anything to get better this season.
Except for the musical episode. That's fine.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Once More with Feeling's fun. Well, mostly. I mean, other than all the songs about being depressed.
Or so.
Well, it's fun to sing out your feelings.
Walk through the fire. Anyway, so next week we'll be talking about the episode Flooded. In this episode, still adjusting to being raised from the dead, Buffy must also deal with a mountain of unpaid bills and a flood in the basement. However, the Slayer's spirits are raised slightly as Giles returns to Sunnydale. Meanwhile, Warren, Andrew, and Jonathan have teamed up with the goal of taking over Sunnydale. The trio is here!
Oh.
Giles confronts Willow over her decision to bring Buffy back from the dead.
That's this trio you're talking about?
Yes, that is the trio.
Oh boy.
They are going to be one of the main villainous foils this season.
Oh boy.
And it's so...
Hey, they're not demons, they're humans.
But it's so good!
Oh boy.
Because they're going to be amazing, Justin.
Oh no.
They have evil plans to take over Sunnydale. And they have a flamethrower. And action figures. Alrighty, so if there's nothing else to add for this week, I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Justin.